Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The market continues to trend sideways, but there's no shortage of things to discuss. I'm going to share with you perspective from multiple chart analysts in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam, including one who shares expectations for just how high XRP is going to go, and he thinks $13 plus this market cycle makes a ton of sense, especially if Bitcoin goes as high as many think it will go. And really, to me, it makes a ton of sense to have expectations to where XRP will go based on how much money flows into the space. So if you have a higher Bitcoin price, then there's that much more money, then there's that much more money flowing to ETH and XRP and everything else under the sun. But what happens this market cycle if the SEC actually does appeal the Ripple lawsuit? Does that mean there will be uncertainty in the market and XRP will have to sit out yet another bull run? That's discussed as well. And I'll cap off the video by talking about an interesting topic. So you may have caught the news in recent days about a major crypto, well, it's actually not even a cryptocurrency exchange. It's not technically. It's a major exchange that offers derivatives based on the crypto market. Well, they filed recently for an XRP futures contract setup, and I covered that at the time. That was several days or so ago. But you know what else we saw? We just saw a major firm apply for a crypto index ETF with the SEC. Now, I'll just tell you this at the outset. I firmly believe one day there will be an XRP ETF, and the futures, just having XRP futures in the United States, that's a precursor to it. The SEC typically expects to see that before would be approving an ETF. And so I predict that ultimately XRP, should this thing get approved, and I don't see why it wouldn't, this crypto index ETF, I imagine XRP is going to be a part of that. And it's hard to overstate the importance of that if indeed, a bunch of years pass and the products work. In the short term, yeah, not a crazy amount of money necessarily flows and nothing that would materially impact what would happen in any given bull cycle, but over a span of many years and decades, yeah, kind of a big deal. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 2:55 p.m. Central Time. On Saturday, August 17th, 2024, XRP just shy of 57 cents, Bitcoin $59,585, and the market is back into extreme fear at 25 out of 100. And it's not surprising to see this. A little over 10 days ago, maybe 11, 12 days ago, the market cratered. Crypto cratered, stocks cratered. Now, of course, there's been a bit of a rebound since then, but market's still freaking out. Here's a post from Charlie Bolello, and he's the chief marketing strategist at Creative Planning, and he wrote the following. The S&P 500 has rallied 8.5% from the August 5th panic low and is now only 2% away from hitting a new all-time high. And so I'll just remind you that at some unknown point in the future, although the market is in extreme fear today, it will flip to greed and ultimately extreme greed. Now, given that we're in a bull market, I'll not be surprised to see that happening sooner than later. Don't live your life like a typical living retail speculator, whatever way the wind is blowing, directionally, whatever way the price is going. Don't let that emotionally impact you. You need to have a much larger time horizon or you ain't gonna make it. Because if your emotions are getting the best of you, you're gonna capitulate. We are our own worst enemies when it comes to investing, which is why I love my approach of buying stuff and letting time do the heavy lifting. I don't have to worry about anything in the short term. Price goes down, okay, whatever. Do I believe? And the reason I'm at peace with that is I firmly believe we have a much bigger crypto pie, and by having broad exposure to the asset class, I'm much safer than if I'm being emotional getting in and out of positions. That's how you get torn up. There's this post from chart analyst Matthew Hyland. Bitcoin consolidation in an uptrend favors a continuation of the uptrend, and he shared instances that he clearly thinks are fairly similar, dating back to even 2023, where there have been periods of consolidation, but then breaking to the upside. And given that he firmly believes we're in a bull market, and hard to argue with him in my estimation, yeah, I won't be surprised to see if that is indeed correct and we see a move to the upside. Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache. Bitcoin. Imagine Bitcoin is at the same moment as it was back in 2016. Buy signal on the M chart. Month-long consolidations afterwards are not uncommon. But what comes after that? ... I don't care what the bears predict. Many of them are still waiting for $12,000 Bitcoin. And so his opinion is that we've seen stuff like this before in terms of this amount of time passing for an accumulation range in a bull market for Bitcoin. And he sees a move to the upside. And he's comparing this, in fact, back to 2015, which ultimately led to, well, you know what happened in 2017. Then there was also this from chart analyst Dr. Magic. And we're going to talk about XRP right after this. But he says, and the reason I even mentioned that is because he's talking about Bitcoin priced against the S&P 500 and the importance of the relative strength index on this chart. And so he says BTC/SPX, and the SPX, of course, is the S&P 500. He says every leg up that we had this cycle was preceded by RSI, bullish divergence coming from below 30, followed by time capitulation and a breakout to the upside. We're about to finish time capitulation. Zoom out, play the higher time frame, and you will be rewarded. And so the argument that you can see he's making is obviously RSI on the bottom. He's noting that Bitcoin price against the S&P 500 moves to the downside. You see this divergence with the RSI, and he's pointed out, if you're looking at the screen, you can see what I'm talking about. I'm circling here. He cited it happened there. He cited it happened here. And he says it's happened right here, and it's currently playing out. And the reason that he's pricing Bitcoin against the S&P 500, which I find to be interesting, is because, you know, there is a certain correlation between the two. And if you zoom out on a chart and you just look at Bitcoin priced against the dollar in the S&P, just a regular S&P 500 chart, then what you will see certainly is a correlation. It's interesting to see, given that everything doesn't line up perfectly down to the second, the minute, the day, how Bitcoin priced against the S&P 500 plays out. And I don't normally see analysts share specifically this analysis, so it's interesting. I'll be curious to see how this plays out. But he's just noting, at least, you know, dating back to even the end of 2022, this actually has meant something. Then he shared this, talking about RSI and XRP. So you got, he says, watch for that RSI breakout for XRP to foreshadow the next leg up. Now, this he shared on August 12th, and I think I might have shared this on my channel before, but I'm sharing it again just to kind of set the table here. And so he is noting here, of course, RSI again on the bottom. He's expecting that once that does break to the upside, that's when you're going to see something notable in terms of XRP priced against the dollar. And he shared an update just this morning. He said, still waiting for XRP to make this move. So, meaning for RSI to start moving to the upside. But then somebody asked him, do you think XRP will pump if SEC appeals? Which I find to be an interesting topic. And, you know, you actually can't technically know for sure because people can be fickle. It's typical living retail speculators. If they don't understand that XRP actually has legal clarity, what will they do? Well, here's what Dr. Magic said. Yes, XRP is the most primed major coin in the market right now, regardless of the narratives like XRP ETF, Ripple IPO, or SEC. Chart says much, much higher. And so I do tend to think that the narratives are typically not going to play into what happens with price action even close to as much as the typical person thinks it does. I think it has a very minimal impact, personally. Now, as far as the ETF stuff, or not the ETFs, the SEC stuff, even if there's an appeal, it just functionally doesn't matter. XRP does have that legal clarity. I have the suspicion that enough people understand that. In part, I think it's evidenced by the fact that XRP, you know, once the Ripple lawsuit concluded, you saw a minimal boost up, which, you know, wasn't exactly something that was sustained. It was way smaller than when XRP got legal clarity. And so, mind you, we're in a bull market now, and, you know, a year ago, of course, we were climbing out of the depths of the FTX collapse, sure, but, you know, in the months after that, the market went to the downside, but still, XRP had a way bigger boost in July of last year than it got from the Ripple lawsuit ending just a week ago, and we're in a bull market now. So that, to me, if anything, is a good sign. That tells me that most people kind of get it. XRP already had the legal clarity. So if there's an appeal, if people have been paying attention, and I would surmise that enough people understand this, Stuart Alderati was even talking about this the other day. It doesn't matter if the SEC appeals. XRP, the fact that it in and of itself is not a security, that is the law of the land as a result of this case. That doesn't change even if there's an appeal. And on top of that, that specific fact, XRP not in and of itself being a security, even the SEC said they're not going to appeal that. Now, I think in part that's also the case because they legally can't because it's dicta. And so Jeremy Hogan pointed that out right after we got the decision in July. It ain't happening. We don't have anything to worry about. XRP's not going to sit on the sidelines this market cycle. I mean, if it does, it certainly won't be because of the SEC appeal if it happens. But I don't believe for a moment XRP's going to be sitting on the sidelines here. Certainly not. And then we had this from Charting Guy. And so he's sharing some expectations of what he thinks is going to happen price-wise by the first quarter of 2025. Doesn't mean it can't happen sooner, but he put down some expectations for Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and XRP. And so you can see for Bitcoin, he's expecting anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000. And that's a price range that I see all sorts of reputable analysts expecting for a peak for this market cycle. Doesn't sound crazy to me. I don't know if we're going to hit it, but you're only talking a little over, depending on where you're at in that range, maybe a 2x, something like that. Not crazy, given that Bitcoin's already run up substantially. And I'll just say this. If Bitcoin actually gets to that level, his expectations for XRP, which are on the screen, anywhere from $8 to $13, look, I'm not making a price prediction here, but I will just say if Bitcoin hits that level, how could that not be enough money sloshing around for XRP to get up there? Because look, money starts at the top. It goes into Bitcoin first, and then it cycles into ETH and XRP and other large cap coins, mid cap coins, and then further out the risk curve down to small caps and micro caps. That's the way that it works. So if there's enough money thrown into Bitcoin to bid the price up to that range, then seeing XRP price get bid up to that range is totally plausible. And that's only roughly a 2 to 3x compared to the previous all-time high, which is completely believable. That doesn't sound outrageous in the least. If we're going to have true market expansion, I find that to be totally plausible. I don't know if it's going to happen, but is this in Looney Tunes land or is it sufficiently conservative? I'd say it's sufficiently conservative. That's just my personal opinion. I'm just a dude on the internet, though. We're all entitled to our opinions. I'm just saying I've seen enough in the world of crypto to understand that it's totally reasonable to expect XRP to get to that level, in particular if Bitcoin goes that high. Now, is XRP going to do that if Bitcoin doesn't hit another new all-time high? I'm kind of skeptical of that. I'd be surprised if it doesn't run further, but we'll find out what happens. And then there's this, to set the table here, and I was mentioning this at the outset. This is a headline from August 14th. Bitnomial's XRP futures contracts fuel XRP ETF speculations. So, I firmly believe there will be an XRP ETF at some unknown point in the future, and this happening is a precursor. Now, this is from Cryptopolitan, and they note that Bitnomial listed XRP US dollar futures, which is the XUS, that's the ticker symbol, under the US CFTC regulations on August 13th. I don't know if that part is technically true. So there was this letter that's on your screen here, and I covered this at the time. The news really started circulating on August 13th, even though the letter was filed on August 9th. And so they wrote here, Bitnomial, blah, 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 hereby notifies the CFTC that it hereby submits for self-certification its initial listing of the XRP US dollar futures contracts, that's XUS, to be offered for trading on the exchange for an intended trade date on or after August 13th, 2024. So I don't know if that happened. I haven't seen confirmation of that. The Cryptopolitan is reporting that, but I think that's just because they wrote in that letter they're expecting that to be the date. But I just went to their website and I went to their products page, and it's not listed. So unless they just didn't update their page, I don't think it's happening yet. I have seen no evidence of it, so I'm assuming the answer is no despite that report, but it's crypto media. Crypto media is a bunch of C students writing stuff on the internet, so it is what it is. But still excited for the future because XRP will have an ETF, I firmly believe that, and there will be baskets of ETFs. So there'll be a basket of various cryptos in an ETF, to be precise. So this is the first glimpse of this that we've seen, and and I'm not the only one, but I've certainly been predicting, yes, you're going to see this in the future. Here it is, and it just seems obvious. This isn't some sort of hard prediction, But look at the headline. Franklin Templeton files S1 for new crypto index ETF. Well, color me surprised. And so as they eventually get to, inevitably, I would think, an XRP ETF, throw that in the basket. And so the amount of extra money that will flow in over a span of decades, I think it will be rather substantial. Asset manager Franklin Templeton is seeking to launch a new a new exchange-traded fund, ETF, designed as a one-stop shop crypto portfolio, according to an August 16th filing. The Franklin Crypto Index ETF will track the performance of the CF Institutional Digital Asset Index, which currently only comprises Bitcoin and Ethereum, the filing said. Quote, the fund will seek to achieve its investment objective by investing in the digital assets in approximately the same weights as they represent in the underlying index, end quote. So this is the same thing as buying an ETF that tracks the S&P 500. It just makes it easy for people. So whatever cryptos rise to the top will get added. And it'll be fun to look back on this in a decade. Like, there's only 2 cryptocurrencies in this freaking index. It reminds me of in 2017 when there were only 3 cryptocurrencies on Coinbase, literally 3. When I jumped into crypto in November 2017, you could buy Bitcoin, ETH, and Litecoin, and that was it. And then at the end of 2017, there was Bitcoin Cash, but that was just because there was that fork that resulted in it being necessary to add that. And so they felt it safe enough to do that. But that was it. So then at the end of 2017, there were 4. That was it. So it's kind of cute to look back. Look at how many coins they have now. And so I think if you fast forward another decade here, there are going to be all sorts of different indexes that have multiple cryptocurrencies in them. And given that XRP has proven, certainly to this point, that it deserves to be here for the long haul, XRP will be a part of that. So then as people just want broad exposure to the asset class, more and more money is going to get thrown in. And so just like you don't research every single company in the S&P 500 if you just want broad exposure, same here. So given that XRP has already risen to the top, more money will go just because it's already been vetted. That is cool. And that's why I'm saying there's so little money in XRP right now compared to where it would be in the future. And this is one more reason why, congratulations, you're here early. It's the time to be here. There still is an opportunity to, relatively speaking, achieve life-changing wealth quickly compared to, just by investing in traditional finance, the stock market. It's not going to stay like that. You're here at a very cool time. You're living through a very incredible moment in history. But eventually, investing in crypto is going to be as boring as investing in precious metals, but that won't happen for a long time in my estimation. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.